So Rav was sitting with the friends in Kiev in the last day of the Congress, and they had a Yeshivat Chaverim, and they were sitting in the circle, and it was a really good time. A lot of times that last meeting of a Congress is when you kind of ask Rav, what's, what do you feel like we happened here in the Congress? Where did we reach? What did you, what did we reach? What did we attain in this time? Is there something you want to tell us about how we did in this Congress? It's kind of like sometimes we're just asking to get a pat on the shoulder, or sometimes we would like for him to convey to us, from the perspective of a Kabbalist who's seeing things from a level that's so much deeper than ours. What is it? What happened here? Not just what did we think was happening. It was cool. It was fun. It was deep. We were moved or something like that. Try to put it into words of of what did we accomplish. And the interesting thing was that Rav basically started to talk about what a Yeshivat Chaverim should be. Because normally Yeshivat Chaverim is when, the friends sit around. They sit around once a week. They get a little bit of excitement. They start with gratitude, and then they move to to their prayer, and then they have obviously end with gratitude. And we have the agenda of the assembly and those beautiful articles that tell us how to approach it. Rav added another layer, and he said, "This is the time when you have a little bit of a soul search. What happened in this last week? What have we done? If you're not basically measuring your advancement, if you're not measuring the changes, if you're not doing that, what exactly, are you doing here? It should be a little," he even said it should be a little bit like a work meeting. So it was very interesting that today was the first Yeshivat Chaverim after the Kiev Congress. And the giant brothers from Moscow led a session during the Yeshivat Chaverim saying, okay, you remember what Rav said we have to do, let's do it. And the first question was, what were some of the practical advices that you heard this week in Rav's lessons? Let me ask you that question right now. This week, I assume some of you attended a few lessons, right? Can you give practical advices that Rav gave us during this week? Not all at once. I'll venture to say that most of us don't have a way to answer that. Because if I did attend, by the way, I'm sorry, if you did have and we're waiting for your turn, go for it. I didn't mean to jump ahead. Go ahead, Lance. You have practical advice from Rob this week.
Yes, Zohar. I think what he said, he underscored, it's all about connection. So all of these times we get together, the things that we work on, it's to develop deeper connection within each other.
Okay. Anyone else? No? Who attended at least one lesson this week? No, so you were in the lesson, right? Roberto, your hand didn't go up in front of the group like that.
I thought Gary was there too. He didn't raise his hand, but I saw him there.
Roberto, you haven't been to one lesson all week?
I attended my lessons with my 10 a couple nights a week, but I failed to connect with the Rav lesson late after that.
Anyone want to say something to Roberto?
I need to grow my desire for those lessons a lot more.
So what I can practical advice is, there was some, I know it, I just forgot, but basically it was like the topic was about like exiting Egypt, like the Exodus, raising the importance of that, but I don't remember any practical advices.
Right.
I did listen, and I was sitting here trying to remember. It's kind of embarrassing that I can't even remember. And I probably listened to it yesterday. But I do remember one thing that he said was we need to increase the importance of spirituality needs to be increased. So I guess our desire.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else want to add to this list?
Yes, it was mentioned that the time of exile is coming, galut, the evil inclination, will to receive. So we're coming into that elevated period of time.
Okay. Anyone else? So let's do this, okay? And I'll tell you why I did that, because I didn't miss 1 minute of the lesson this week. I've been to every lesson, morning, night, every lesson there was. And when we were faced, and I was in Chicago in our group, and that question was asked, and we looked at each other just like we're looking at each other right now. Why is this? Why do we go to a lesson? We have the foremost Kabbalist in the world right now, sitting there pouring light on us, giving us advice every minute. It's like we're connected to an infusion, an IV of light, and we walk away from the lesson maybe feeling something. Yeah, I felt great. I felt increased importance and all that, but I didn't write down some piece of advice that I could actually implement today, something I could bring to my 10, something that I could share, something that I could actually work on. It's an awakening, it's like, whoa, you mean I just spent that time there and I didn't even think that maybe it would be worthwhile to take a few notes. Not to sit. I mean, I understand there's some people, by the way, who sit and type every word that comes out of Rav's mouth. And I mean, that too. But there are people who are sitting there and writing. I wish I had the time to translate for you, but there are people in Petach Tikva who sit in every lesson. At the end of the lesson, they either write a song out of it, or they write a 10 bullets of the most important things they heard from Rav that day, every day, meticulously for years. And I think to myself, it's great. I can always go to the cheat sheet. I can always go to Ronen Avigdor's email, because I get it every day from him. And if someone says an intention, I have it from the lesson, because it was from, he sent it right after the lesson. It's from Rav's words right away. I could always say, well, he talked about the importance, how we have to be connected, and we have to unite as a 10 and come to the center of the circle, and that's what we need, right? And we need to reveal the Creator between us, right? And I know that we heard the lesson. It's not that we didn't hear the lesson. It's not that we haven't heard that we're talking about Exodus. We're talking about exile. We're talking about Egypt. We're talking about the Egyptian in me versus the Hebrew in me or the Jew in me. And we're talking about the will to receive and the will to bestow, and how I need to separate the two and rise above. But I'm not coming out with those pieces of those points. Remember when we were studying the Rabash articles and we're sitting there and we're saying, let's chew on it and take out some suggestions. Let's take out some principles. Let's take out some advice that Rabash gave us there. Every day we have that opportunity, and we're probably missing it. So here's a cool thing. In the Yeshivat Chaverim this week, we stood there. The first question, I just told you what it was. What were some practical advices that you heard from Rav during the lesson this week? You could have come up with one, and it would be like, wow, he's actually listening. He's actually taking notes. He's doing that, right? You could get a little bit of pride there. You can get a little bit of feeling like, yeah, I'm participating in the lesson. I'm listening. The second question was, describe to your 10 how you practically tried to implement that advice that you got from Rav this week. So you can imagine how the silence that was in the first question was nothing compared to the silence on the second question. You get that? That's like an awesome opportunity for us to listen to the lesson in a different way. As an instructor, one of the things that I do is I'm listening to the lesson, I'm looking for certain things. What am I looking for? I'm thinking next, I'm about to meet with these guys, and I'm going to have to, give a lesson. I'm listening to Rav using examples. I'm listening to the way Rav describes certain things, getting little insights on how, I can be a better, instructor also. How can I do that? If I'm managing a certain project, I'm watching how others are doing it, and I'm learning from them so that maybe I can do a better job. Listening for the sake of being able to implement an advice that Rav is giving, that's pretty awesome, I think. Add that to the list. Let's add that to the list of things. And let's just do a quick round. What do you think that will change in the way we participate this way in the morning lesson, this week in the morning lesson? Let's not talk about the rest of our lives. Let's talk about this week. Imagine that we went into the lesson this week when we go to the lesson. And I hope you, Roberto, we shamed you enough that I know you're going to be in the lesson this week, right? Do you want to say a commitment of how much you're going to be in the lesson? Are you going to commit to one lesson, or what are you going to commit to?
I'm going to commit to at least one lesson with the goal of attending 2 lessons this week. And
right.
To answer,
I have witnesses here. Yes.
Hmm?
I have witnesses.
Yeah, and my 10s are here: Adam, Eliyahu, Lance, Gary. They're all here.
Five.
So,
Five now. Huh?
So half the team is here. So the pressure's on.
Right. So Gary, did you call Roberto before every lesson and say to him, "Hey, Roberto, the lesson's about to start. I hope you're going to be there"? Or when you saw he's not there, did you call him and say, "Roberto, where are you?"
No, because I wasn't in most
Who did?
lessons.
I want to say something about this. In our 10, there are several people, they don't want to be called. It's too intimidating. I have no problem with that, and I'm suffering from that, but I have to, if they don't want it, we don't do it.
No, that's fine. By the way, that's totally correct. You should do it that way. I have people in Israel who call me, and sometimes it's embarrassing because it's I'm in bed with my wife at 3 o'clock in the morning, the phone's ringing. You told me I'm supposed to wake you up before the lesson, right? Like, yeah, you just shouldn't have called right now because you just woke up my wife. But thank you. It's like, but if you tell the friends, please don't, I don't want that or something like that, that's fine. You may agree on something else. Say, how much can you annoy me? Or how much can you bother, try to wake me up? Or find a way that you can inspire your friends one way or another. But if someone says, please don't call me or something like that, absolutely respect that. Okay? I have been in meetings, lectures, and events from 4 o'clock this morning. The chat on the Zoom is so small that it looks like one big blur to me. So if you wrote something in that chat, please read it out because I have no idea what you wrote there. I know that someone wrote something, but I don't know what it is.
I did. I wrote that our 10 always, every day, we're texting in multiple formats. If we text on our phones, direct text messaging, we text on Facebook Messenger chat, which we have a private closed group for. We text on WhatsApp chat. All 3 of those get done every day and all during the day about every single meeting going on that we can participate in. The daily call, the Zohar lesson that's in the middle of the day, my Zohar reading I start at 7 in the morning, all kinds of things that are going on. Mostly BB stuff is what we're promoting over there, not our private, except for our 10 meeting, which gets promoted the same way. And on our page, we were calling people, but that's a little bit not doing too much of that right now. But we try. We need these multiple formats because the technology everything's moving so rapid right now that if you just stick to the email, which we also do automatically through Google Calendar, people miss it. They lose it.
Sure. Absolutely. Importance is raised between friends. Importance is not born from you. You'll get one shot of importance from the Creator when you wake up, and then that's it. Now it's up to us to generate it between us. So I'll go back to the question, what do you think the difference will be if this week we go to the lesson, each according to his framework, whether you go once a week, twice a week, all week, anything like that, and you actually had in mind that at the end of the week, you're going to have to be accountable of having some advice and even how you implemented that advice or tried to implement that advice. So let's do a quick round here and share that, friends.
I have to start taking notes. Because, I mean, I've listened to Rob. I'm on Rob every night. And I'm sitting there listening to him, and I'm like, yes, I do that. Yes. Oh, that's a good idea. And then, like just now, you asked, what have I learned this week? I'm like, I forgot.
So what would happen if you did take notes and try to implement some of those? How would it change this week? How would it make life different this week?
It would make my life easier, and I would get along much better with people, even though I try and implement Rob all the time into my daily life. So it wouldn't be really that much different, but next.
I would say for myself, I know that I have laid down a lot and I have picked up a daily rhythm of the material of the BB and the RAV. I haven't yet gotten to the lessons from the last Congress, but I'm very excited to do so. Just about done with those that were from Israel. Awesome. I have found that taking just one short message in the morning before I start my day, for instance, I do something out of the Shemati every day. Now, I think if I applied this to the lesson of the RAV as well, every day, or at least every other day, I'm not only going to be able to bring something to the group, to the friends about what I've learned, but I know that it has changed my life immensely. I am able throughout the day to see where that old programming is running in the background that has been constant all my life. And the new program is so right there in the front that I can almost delete. I've asked the Creator, delete it out, because I don't have the strength to do it. Only the Creator can do that. But I will keep on with the importance of the work so that maybe I can share this very moment with all of you because you inspire me. And I'm grateful to be here. Next.
I think doing it like Zohar's saying will probably keep us in tune with what the rest of the world Kli is doing. We all have like the same idea. We're all doing the same thing in the tens, no matter be in Israel or Canada or wherever, Brazil or here. If we could bring the thoughts from the lessons to our 10, then our 10 will be in sync with the rest of the 10s and then in sync with the rest of the world Kli. Whoever's next.
I would just like to say for Eddie, who can't talk because he's at work, I begged him to come over here because we're being shamed. He goes to the Rob lesson more than anybody, and so does Lance and Jason, who's not here, who just came right now. They're amazing. They're going, and so I will commit to go for one really attentive, participative hour a night. Now, and then I might switch to listen only after that. It's just what I have to do in my household.
Yeah, 1 hour a night, at least. Like I heard, like I don't know so much about Jewish things, but I heard there's Pesach soon, and that we can like achieve a lot of things. And we don't need to do it the rest of the year, but if like until Pesach, I think it's about some days, right? Some a week or so, like at least 1 hour a night, like as a 10 together. It will, and it's not about changing my life, it's about changing your life, right? And it will change a lot. We attract the Reforming Light together, and let's reach Gmar Tikkun.
Just like,
Go, Gary.
I just wanted to make a couple of comments about a couple of things. One, taking notes and the importance of taking notes. Because I have found that if you do not take notes and you listen to the Rav, you say, oh, this is wonderful. I know this. Oh, wonderful. Wow, look what all the good stuff I'm learning. You can listen to the Rav for 10 minutes because it's not about quantity always. It's about quality of what I'm getting. And I say, oh, this is so profound. I'll never forget this. Well, 5 minutes later, if you ask me what he said, I don't have a clue. And that's why I take notes. And I didn't answer the question because I had taken some notes. I was only on a little bit and I didn't remember. I don't know which lesson I took it from. So I didn't want to say something foolish. But I have found, and this is my opinion, my thought, is that the ego mind doesn't want you to remember any of this. It wants you to forget all this. And the only way that you're going to remember this is you write it down, you look at it, and if you can share it with someone, wow, then you're going to learn it. Because every time you can share or teach or whatever you want to call it, then you learn it. But if you think you listen to the Rav, you sit there like, listen to him, oh, it's great. Yeah, it's great. I'm feeling it. I'm sure my subconscious is pulling it in. You've got to take some notes. I don't care if it's a word here and a word there. You'll look at it and you'll be amazed because when you look at those few words, boom, it'll all come back to you. So I just wanted to say that about this. That's all.
What about the part of implementing? I thought it was amazing to hear this. I mean, taking notes is great, okay? And I think it's an awesome practice. By the way, that's Rav's practice also. That's the way he does things. You can imagine after being in this path for long enough, can you imagine if I took notes 15 years every day like that? I mean, there wouldn't be room in my house for the notes. I often have notes where I don't even look at them later, but taking the notes, the actual practice of taking notes is one more way to put it through you. I loved the idea of this week of, okay, I came out of there and I'm looking for advice. I'm looking for specific directions that Rav is giving and during the lesson today that I could implement in my 10. What did I use that for? How did I work on that? How did I do something there? So continue the round here, but add that matter in there. That's very important, Who's next?
I'll go. So I enjoy taking notes, and I think it's quite an art in that, okay, you got to take notes in a way that you don't get buried in your notes to where you're not hearing the whole message. And then I think part of the art of notes too is, as was mentioned, you do pull them out. You do take a look at them. For example, I can look from back on March 30th and pull out a couple gems. Either we work for the Creator or Pharaoh. Easy. Consider what the others will receive. Another one. give contentment to the Creator through the group. So gems.
More friends? Let's just make a pact between us that this week we're going to listen to the lesson. And even if we're not natural note takers like Lance and Gary, which, by the way, it is an art. And some people are just good at it and some people are not. But if you have a pen in hand or a notepad or something that you can type down something or however you like to do it, and you make sure that every once in a while when you hear that gem, when you hear that advice, when you something like that, it's almost like you're on duty for your 10. I have to bring this. This is something we can work on this week. This is something we can work on tomorrow when we meet. This is something we should bring up and see if we can utilize somehow in implementing between us. I guarantee that by next Sunday when we meet again, you will have a complete different spiritual experience from this week. You will see the practicality of Rav's lessons. You'll see how it actually fits in your life, and you'll understand also why yesterday in the middle of the lesson, Rav stopped at some point and said, "Are you happy about being here? Are you excited about being here in the lesson?" It's about 4:30 in the morning Israel time. Obviously, in different time zones all over the world, people are tired. People are this. People are that. How many of you are sitting there and thinking, looking at the clock, oh, it's another hour and 20 minutes to the end of the lesson. I could hold on, right?
Actually, he said, just leave at one point, and I had to leave anyway, so I thought it was a perfect time to just leave. He said, go. And so I did.
Yeah, he said, actually, he asked, do you enjoy every minute of this lesson? Like as a drop of medicine, and even if you don't enjoy it, just can you accept it as a medicine dropping for every second?
Exactly. We're coming to the lesson. Why are we there? It's like, what are you, like a masochist? No, you're there because you're sick and you need the medicine. And he has it and he's giving it to us. And you're sitting there and you're like, let me just make it through these 3 hours. I'm tired. But I'll show my friends that I was there for the 3 hours. Or, I've invested this much. I might as well be here to the end, right? Doesn't matter how you, or I came here because I'm just filled with importance and I'm here to get the light so that I can pass it on to everyone. Anywhere on that spectrum it could be. And it would make a big difference if you came there because you needed it. You really needed it. I mean, what do you think we've learned so much about Kli and light, the desire and the fulfillment of the desire? How could you possibly go to a meeting if you don't have a desire? Now, by the way, is it natural for us to just have a desire? No, of course not. There's no way you're going to just have a desire. You need the friends for the desire. You need to create this environment between you for the desire. We need to constantly be raising the importance for us to have a desire, because our desire is just not aimed in that direction. It's aimed towards filling ourselves, not towards anything else. Thank God each one of us is in a 10. Thanks God each one of us has access to Rav. Thank God each one of us has access to this method and the way to implement it. I'm actually very excited that some of you tonight are going to get to, serve others for the first time, not just your 10, but to actually be there in a capacity of a server for new students. It's very exciting. It's like what it means to nullify yourself and just give. It's a very cool thing. So that's that. Anything else that you guys really want to discuss today? We have about 6-7 minutes because I am going to stop the meeting a little early so that I can set up for the first time for them. I don't want to take a chance that they show up and we didn't set up the Zoom properly or something like that. But
I would just like to say good job to my 10 members that I've already booked and are going to the Congress for sure.
Who's already registered for the Congress?
Eddie
Really?
can't raise his hand, but he would be.
Okay. Gary?
No,
Right,
no
Jason.
passport, sir. No passport, sir.
No, I understand, Liliao, but I know you're going to be there with us no matter what. If you don't have your hand up, are you asking yourself why? I mean, really, how could you not be going to the Congress? I mean, do you realize Rob's coming to North America? Do you realize what kind of Congress we're about to have? If you've even watched 1 minute of Kiev and you realize this is the next degree, the culmination of 25 lessons from Chile to Brazil to Mexico to North America, you realize how much effort and how much, planning there is for us to be able to achieve the highest possible goal here. You don't want to be there? I know you want to be there, but do you want to be there bad enough? What's going on?
I was going to say, don't want to be there?
Well, for me, I only work 190 days a year. I work for the state. I drive a school bus, so they really frown on people staying out just for the 190 days. That's my.
I have a wedding to
There's a
officiate.
school days, you're saying?
Yeah, school days.
Oh, Tom, let them suck it up. I'm taking off 1.5 days. I'm doing the AM run, and they're doing the PM run for me on Thursday, and then I'm out Friday, so they can suck up 1.5 days, and I'm right there with you.
Yeah, let me add something to that, and I'm talking specifically to my 10 year. We can have excuses not to go there, but we have the Help for Friends. You can ask the Bnei Baruch for giving you money for the ticket. You can try anything. There's no excuse. Like for you guys, there's no excuse not to go there. So you owe it to me. Please go there.
Look, there's no coercion, and I understand if you're bound by impossibilities that are beyond your control, that's okay. I guarantee, Tom, and I'll shame you in front of it because I already shamed Roberto, so it's my turn. Your turn now. If you're so meticulous about not taking that day off of work, a couple of weeks later, something's going to happen. Your car's going to break down, or God forbid, you'll be sick or something like that, and you'll have to take a day off. You realize, oh, I guess I can take a day off if when it's not up to me. I guess if I'm sick or if something happens, or if God forbid someone else calls you or something like that. There's always a reason why you take a day off, and I'm not saying that that the answer is yes, you have to go and you have to leave your job. God forbid, don't endanger your job. You don't want that to happen. But
it's more than that. We're short drivers, and I run double shifts as it is. If I call in, it's going to put a lot of stress on everybody I work with.
And you work Fridays and Saturdays?
I work every day except Sunday. I do field trips, camps. I work 4 o'clock in the morning to 5:30 in the afternoon, 6 days a week.
All right, Tom, you one up on me. I don't work Saturdays, but my alarm goes off at 3:45 every morning. I travel 1 hour and 15 minutes up to the school district above me. My travel time per day to do my AM run and my PM run is 5 hours, not including my 4 hours of my run time. So I'm right there with you, but I figured since August 29th, when our school started, to today, I still have not taken a day off. So they can suck up 1.5 days.
Yeah, it's. I understand what you're saying. I just we're short on people. Everybody's doubling up on shifts. I run middays. I run field trips. I do over weekend sporting events. I'd love to go, but what am I supposed to do? Tell these people they're just gonna have to do without me? I mean, they really depend on me.
Drive the whole busload of kids to Congress.
Yeah, I think I'd go to jail for that.
Well, don't go to jail for it, and you know, it's your 10's job to raise the importance of it. I can't imagine someone from my group not going. I just can't imagine it, and I understand it's not like it never happened. It happened. Things can happen. There are moments where things happen in a way where they're beyond your control. Okay, but except for those matters, when there's a will, there's a way. And I'm not. This is not just to you, Tom. I know we kind of picked on you, and I'm sorry for picking you on you personally. But so let's not talk about your specific situation. Any one of you who didn't register at this point and is not doing everything you can to go to a Congress, this is not like a retreat weekend where we're going to go and have some fun. This is an opportunity to advance spiritually and make the world a different place and make our and rise 700 degrees up from where we were before we entered that Congress. It's an opportunity to be a part of something that you can't even imagine what we're talking about here. If you haven't been to a Congress before, oh my God, you have to be there. If you have been to a Congress, and there's absolutely not, let's not talk about your personal situations right now. If it's a matter of finances and you just need to figure out something like that, like Eliyahu said, there are ways. There is Help a Friend. It's there. It's for this reason, and we should definitely consider it. And last but not least, I'll really be disappointed to not see any one of you there, because I'm waiting to get a big hug from each one of you and to give you a big hug and to start taking this to the next degree.
It's everything we're working for. You will not be the same. I'm telling you, all the magic that you imagined you could ever find in studying spirituality, you'll experience. And I hate using that word magic. I know it's wrong, but I mean, I didn't even need to breathe after I left the last Congress. I caught myself just sitting there being on the way home. I wasn't even, just amazing transformation.
Let's go ahead, friends. We have to move to another Zoom for the new young group that's coming in and prepare for them. So thank you very, very much. I love you all dearly. Let's try to implement some of this this week, and I will see you on the other side. Those of you who are not moderating tonight, I hope you're going to the lesson.
Love you, friends.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
I love you.